weekend. I know we saw a nice soaking weekend for the most part, for most of us. I'm anxious to see what the drought monitor looks like tomorrow when it comes out. But for today, very sunny skies most of the day, a few clouds here and there. Otherwise, this morning, pretty mild and pretty humid. By the afternoon, really starting to feel the heat thanks to, again, higher dew points, higher humidity overall. Those winds will try to help a little bit, about 30-mile-an-hour gusts at times, but temperatures do reach right around seasonal in the mid-90s this afternoon. That's your First Bank Texas forecast first. KTAB Daybreak starts now.
With coverage you can count on, this is KTAB News Daybreak.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us for KTAB Daybreak. I'm Kathleen Barkley. Ron is away this morning. It is the first day of the new school year at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Students will be returning to the site of February's massacre with several new security measures in place. John Shumo has our top story this morning.
6 months after a student opened fire inside Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 students and staff, the doors are opening again for a new school year.
It's going to be different. It's going to be unlike any other day because of all the new security changes and because of what we went through.
In an effort to improve safety, school officials updated the surveillance camera system, created a single point of entry, and doubled security staff to 18. Still, challenges remain. An initiative to train armed guards to recruit enough applicants, and a pilot program to install metal detectors isn't ready. At a 4-hour meeting Tuesday on school safety, many parents expressed concerns.
How are you going to tell me that no one else on that campus is going to have a gun or a knife in their backpack?
Students who survived the mass shooting acknowledge the return to class will be emotional and difficult, but they say they will make it together.
It's just made us all stronger people as a whole, and the school stronger. Everyone in it has just become such mature, strong people after what had happened.
The school also now has several portable classrooms to help handle the overflow from the still shuttered Building 12, where most of the shooting took place. John Shumo, CBS News.
Now, the shooting suspect, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, is being held without bail on murder charges. His trial has yet to begin. And back in the Key City, Abilene voters have the opportunity to fund new schools and renovate others. A meeting at one AISD center downtown Tuesday evening centered on a bond issue. It was proposed earlier this year to build new elementary schools, renovate fine arts buildings at the high schools, and upgrade athletic facilities at several campuses. On a 6-to-1 vote, board members approved a nearly $139 million bond election for November 6th. The biggest expense would be nearly $70 million to construct new schools at current locations of Austin, Taylor, and Dias elementary schools. The next biggest chunk would be about $42 million for a technical education center, which would then grow in areas of tech classes and auto classes, construction, TV production, and move the Adams program to the new building. Other projects that would be paid for if the bond issue is approved is upgrades to athletic facilities at Abilene and Cooper High Schools. Fine arts not left out, with renovations at Abilene High, Cooper, new band halls at Madison and Mann Middle Schools, and several other conversions of current space. Now, along with updates at Shotwell Stadium and improved heating and air conditioning at many existing schools, those are all included in that proposal. All of this will be on the general election ballot November 6th. Now, as your local election headquarters, we will have extensive coverage on this and other issues on the ballot and results that election night. You can expect extensive coverage here on KTAB and our website, bigcountryhomepage.com. And as KTAB is getting you ready to go back to the books, we're talking technology and how it's impacting the way parents connect with their child's teachers. With Remind apps, email, and text, parents have more access to information sent by teachers in Abilene ISD. Mann Middle School, Principal Kathy Walker says technology has definitely helped the teacher-parent relationship, but she still encourages those face-to-face meetings when necessary.
We encourage parents to make appointments with our teachers, and then we encourage our teachers in the first 3 to 4 weeks of school to make some kind of outreach, because they can set up an email that is just kind of a general information that says, hi parents, I'm glad that your kiddo is in my class. Here's how my class operates. Here's when I'm available for your child to work with me in tutorials before or after school.
Walker says technology is helping those parents who work but still like to stay connected with what's going on at their child's school. And turning now to your crime news this morning, the selection of the Jones County jury for a capital murder trial is almost complete. From 1,400 residents called down to 12 jurors who will hear evidence, all for the capital murder trial of 24-year-old Dylan Gage Compton. He was being held at the French Robertson prison unit in Hamby for aggravated sexual assault of a child, but now is accused of killing a corrections officer 2 years ago. Officer Marianne Johnson was found unresponsive in the kitchen area of the French Robertson unit on the morning of July 16, 2016. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. KTAB will follow that trial both on air and online at bigcountryhomepage.com. The midterm elections are less than 90 days out, and the race for Texas Senate is heating up. Republican Senator Ted Cruz fighting for his seat against Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke. Recent polls place Cruz in the lead by a slim margin, but when it comes to money, O'Rourke has so far outraised incumbent Republican Ted Cruz by more than 2-1. KTAB's Anna Warnicki is in Washington with more on whether the money will make a difference in the only poll that really matters, that one on Election Day.
Not by fear.
In the final stretch before Election Day, Republican Ted Cruz and Democrat Beto O'Rourke are clocking in crucial face time in Texas.
It's great to be back in Lubbock.
Congressman O'Rourke is challenging incumbent Senator Cruz for his seat in the Senate.
The polls say that this race is too close to call.
A Quinnipiac University poll shows Cruz with a 6-point lead, and a recent Texas Lyceum survey of likely voters shows O'Rourke just 2 points behind.
We do have a real race here. And we are taking it deadly seriously.
However, when it comes down to money, there's no contest.
If we continue on the current pace, in the next 90 days between now and Election Day, we're going to be outspent badly.
The dollars say that we've been outraising Cruz almost every quarter of the campaign.
According to the Federal Election Commission, O'Rourke has raised $23 million to Cruz's $10 million. But political analyst Gary Nordlinger says that 2-1 campaign fundraising margin may not matter.
If whoever wins the money race counted, you would never have President Trump, for example.
Nordlinger says dollars don't translate to votes, and that's what O'Rourke needs to beat a Republican incumbent in a deep red state.
Money gets you to be a viable candidate. Once you have enough money to be viable, there's no guarantee that money is going to win the campaign.
Nordlinger says having more money definitely helps, but he says what really matters is who shows up on November 6th. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
And KTAB, of course, is your local election headquarters. We'll cover campaign news between now and November 6th and then have complete election results that night. Our KTAB Daybreak News Time now 5:38. Coming up, Cooper Cougars are putting in work with a new leader. Our Dusty Baker has that story still ahead. And the Cisco Fire Department is reaching new heights with new equipment. That's coming up, but first let's check in with Dylan for a look at our forecast. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Kathleen. We are looking at a nice morning so far today. A little bit on the humid side for a lot of us, and unfortunately, that's going to be the case for the next few days. Temperatures all in the 70s, nothing out of the ordinary there. Maybe a little warm, but nothing, again, out of the ordinary. I've looked at that forecast for today, coming up next.
Now, meteorologist Dylan Smith with your Weather Authority forecast.
All right, Dylan, we got that nice system move in, and now it's right back out, and the sunshine's coming back.
It was here for a few days, actually, which was kind of nice. Saw a lot of rain all around the area. Now I'm back, and so is the high pressure.
You brought the sunshine back with you. That's what it was.
I'll take credit for that. Why not? Why not? We're looking at a quieter start to the week, at least middle part of the week. Let's get into it, show you what we're looking at again for today and the next few days. We are kind of in a little bit more of a holding pattern, if you will. Another kind of high pressure off to the west and low pressure kind of off to the east. There's actually this little low pressure system right here that kept me from getting back yesterday, so that's why I wasn't here yesterday. But we're back today, and we are again looking at a gorgeous forecast for today and the next few days. However, unfortunately, it doesn't show much, if any, rain for most of the big country. Clear sweep and max live radar this morning. Mid-70s out there. Dew points, I think our system to measure dew points on our instruments right now, broken right now. As you'll see here in a second, this is about 30 to 40 degrees drier than the rest of the area, and I'm not sold that that's what we're seeing right now. So it's not as dry as it says it is. It's a bit more of a humid start to the day in general. Otherwise, winds out of the south, nice little breeze out there. We'll pick up pretty substantially later on today, about 25 to 30 mile-an-hour gust at times. So expect a bit of a breezy day at times, but temperatures right now, everybody in the 70s. Again, mid to low 70s. Not too warm, not too cool. 71 looking to be the lowest out west in Snyder, 72 for Eastland, and 73 for Brownwood right now. But I want to show you what we're looking at again. Holding pattern for the next few days until our next front this coming weekend. Again, that low pressure off to the east, high pressure starting to bubble up and build out to the west again over the next few days. That's going to bring us a lot of sunshine, some pretty consistent temperatures, and again, some winds out of the south. But that cold front will be coming through Sunday into Monday morning more like. That low pressure again will start to push on down. That will bring us cooler temperatures for the early middle parts of next week. Maybe a few rain chances Sunday, Monday, maybe even some Saturday nights. But after that, the low pressure will move off to the east. High pressure will bubble up again off to the west and again bring us some more holding pattern type things and pretty consistent temperatures when it comes to that. But today for Abilene, feeling the heat this afternoon thanks to that humidity. About 95 degrees for us today. Brownwood right in that same area in mid-90s, right around seasonal. Again, exactly how it should feel. Unfortunately, though, that humidity is here to stay for the next few days as we are looking at pretty consistent temperatures through the back end of the week. Rain chances kicking in as early as Saturday night and could last through Monday morning thanks to that cold front. Kathleen, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dylan. And now to this update out of Cisco. The Cisco Fire Department is welcoming its new ladder truck. Now called Ladder 4, the truck was bought used as a way to save money for the city. It comes from Sullivan, Missouri. Now, crews recently trained on the new ladder truck, but now it's officially in service. This is the department's first ladder truck. Officials say it was needed so they could handle the height of several new buildings in town. The truck came in at a cost of $50,000, which is significantly lower than the $1 million or more a new one would cost. Our KTAB Daybreak News Time now 5:45. Please stay with us. The Cooper Cougars completed day 2 of practice on Tuesday. Dusty talks to head coach Aaron Rohn and the players after the break. And there's a chance for you to see a classic film on the big screen next month. Our Hollywood Minute Report is coming up. Please stay tuned as KTAB Daybreak continues.
KTAB News Daybreak continues.
Well, we're counting down the last couple of weeks of summer vacation for a lot of the kids out there. And today, going to be a great one to try to get outside and just enjoy summertime. It will certainly feel like it for most of us. Low to mid 70s this morning, not too warm, again, right around that seasonal mark. However, it's a little bit more on the humid side. And unfortunately, this trend is not going anywhere. Now, it does show Abilene at 20%. I think our instruments are having some issues reading the humidity out there because it's feeling a little bit stickier than 20% humidity. I can guarantee you that. Otherwise, the rest of us about 70 to 80, even almost close to 90% for some. So again, a bit of a stickier start to the day, and that's going to stick around for most of the afternoon. So it certainly will feel a little bit hotter than the mid 90s today thanks to that heat index. You factor in that humidity. Otherwise, mid 90s for us here in the big country. That will be true for a lot of us here in West Texas. Starting to get closer to the upper 90s the further south and east you go, but luckily for us, staying right at or just below that seasonal mark for today. I'll have a check of that forecast coming up in a few minutes, but first, let's send it back over to Kathleen.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Let's talk some sports this morning. Big Country football team's getting ready for that upcoming season. We go this morning to the Cooper Cougars. New head coach Aaron Rohn takes over a successful program, and he has to follow in the footsteps of a very successful head coach in Todd Mavis. Dusty has more on Rowan's journey to the top of the totem pole.
It is no secret 2018 will be quite the transition year for the Cooper Cougars, with a new head coach in Aaron Rohn and a new look on the offensive side of the ball. Despite the changes, the Cougars head into the new year with a mindset to outwork every other team in the state in order to be successful.
We've got to work harder than anybody that we play. That's something that we believe in. You know, that's an edge that we hope that we can have is the work that we put in.
Rohn takes over the Cougars in his first season as a head coach after working as the offensive coordinator for former head coach Todd Mavis.
It's a great opportunity. You know, I've been blessed and very appreciative of it. It's been a lot of fun. You know, a lot of new challenges. Our kids and coaches know the structure of what we're doing. They could do this stuff without me here. I mean, they know what's going on, and so that hasn't changed a whole lot. You know, with the format of practice and everything, we're going to keep doing what we believe in, and we got to get better at it.
I mean, I have all the confidence in the world with Coach Rohn. He's been here for years, and I'm comfortable with him. The core of what we do is the same, so I mean there's not really too much difference. Same coaching staff, same everything, so it's been pretty consistent.
When it comes to like practice and stuff, he's in go mode. He wants everybody to do what we can do and to the best of our abilities.
Rohn's expectations as the new head coach are the same for the team as what has been instilled in prior seasons.
Continue to do and build on the traditions that we've had in the past, you know, and we really want to break through, that third round barrier and play into December, and that's when you get into elite programs, and we want to become one of those.
At Shotwell Stadium for BigCountryHomepage.com Sports, I'm Dusty Baker.
All right, thanks, Dusty. The new season is just a little over 2 weeks away. The Cougars open 2018 against Keller at Shotwell Stadium. Our KTAB Daybreak News time now 5:51 coming up. A very musical Hollywood Minute is still ahead, but first let's check back in with Dylan for another look at our forecast.
Thanks, Kathleen. We're looking at a pretty sticky and pretty typical start to the day when it comes to just how warm or how cool it is, depending on how you look at it. Low to mid 70s starts your Wednesday morning. I'll have a look about what to expect for today and the back end of your week coming up next.
Now, meteorologist Dylan Smith with your Weather Authority forecast.
It's certainly not as busy of a start to the day as some of the days over the past week or so almost, as that's about how many days it's been since we've seen some rain. So again, a lot of it has moved over to the Midwest, starting to move into kind of the heart of the country when it comes to the northeastern areas. But for us here in the heartland and the big country this morning, light shower, maybe a couple showers off to the west, but just outside of the big country. And we're not expecting much, if anything, later on today. So it's going to be a pretty sunny day, a little bit of a breezy day as well, but also just don't look at this right now. Dew points, I think our instruments are a little bit wacky when it comes to measuring the humidity outside, at least here in Abilene. You'll see that here in a second, as it's a little bit different than the rest of the big country. 76 degrees outside. It is much more humid than about 20% humidity for us here in Abilene, so don't expect it to be super dry as you walk out the door. Otherwise, temperatures right now, everybody in the 70s. Abilene, one of the warmer spots this morning at 76. Same for Stanford, and those dew points again. Abilene, a little bit of that anomaly out there. Not quite true, I don't think. Otherwise, mid to upper 60s for the rest of the big country. It is a pretty humid start to the day, and it's only going to get more humid throughout the next couple of days. So don't expect it to feel super nice outside. It's a little bit on the sticky side, but it could be raining. It could be doing other things outside. So overall, not too bad to start. Temperatures very consistent over the next 4 to 5 days, mid 90s to upper 90s for a lot of us. Lots of sunshine, very high dew points and humidity levels. Heat index could actually start to be a bit of an issue over the next couple of days, as we could see some of those approach the triple-digit range again. So it will feel a little bit warmer than it actually is outside. That's what I'm saying. You're going to be feeling the heat today, especially if you're going to be in the sun. Otherwise, winds will be a little bit gusty at times, about 30-mile-an-hour gusts. Temperatures right back around seasonal in the mid-90s. Brownwood today as well, right there at seasonal in those mid-90s. The humidity levels will drop throughout the day, but dew points will stay pretty consistent, if not increase. And that's where we're starting to see those heat index values start to kick in for most of the big country over the next few days. As temperatures stay pretty consistent in those mid-90s, will be very, very warm outside in the afternoon. Again, right around how it should feel this time of year, but that does start to come to an end thanks to a cold front early next week. Could bring us some rain chances as well.
All right, so rain's coming back, but the sun is sticking around for a while.
For a while,
All
yes,
right.
for a while.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Well, from the big screen to the concert stage, we've got a song in our hearts today.
Here's David Daniel with a marvelously musical Hollywood Minute.
Imagine John Lennon and Yoko Ono on the big screen. Their 1972 music film Imagine returns to theaters this September, restored, remixed, remastered, and featuring previously unreleased material. Screening locations and other information at ImagineFilmTickets.com.
People have a hard time finding me.
Lindsey Buckingham is hitting the road. The longtime Fleetwood Mac guitarist has announced a North American tour and a new compilation, Solo Anthology, The Best of Lindsey Buckingham. The 3-disc set arrives October 5th with a 6-LP vinyl version due in November, and the tour kicks off in Portland, Oregon, October 7th.
Do you foresee any issues in working for a black man?
You in the Deep South? There's gonna be problems.
Viggo Mortensen plays a bouncer from the Bronx, hired to drive Mahershala Ali's world-class pianist on a concert tour south of the Mason-Dixon line in 1962 in Green Book. The title refers to their guide to the few Southern establishments that were safe for African Americans in the Jim Crow South. The first trailer just dropped. The movie, inspired by a real friendship, opens in November.
How does he smile and shake their hands like that?
Because it takes courage to change people's hearts.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Looks like an interesting movie.
I agree.
I kind of want to see it. All right. Well, our next half hour, less than 3 minutes away, the Abilene School Board has approved a bond election for November. We'll break down what's on the ballot. And our Claire Kreitz gives us an exclusive first look at the new Wiley Elementary campus. Plus, state health officials are warning about a new virus, then new ride-hailing restrictions in New York. Your Money Watch report is coming up. Please stay tuned for KTAB Daybreak at 6 a.m.
Now, from your weather authority, your KTAB forecast first.
Good morning, Big Country. It's Wednesday, and rain today is officially out of the forecast, at least for today and the next few days. We do enter a bit of a holding pattern as we start to see very consistent temperatures and very consistent winds, at least about 10 to 20 miles an hour today. Could see gusts as high as 30 miles an hour at times. This morning, it's a bit more on the humid side for all of us, anywhere from about 70 to 90%, give or take a few percentage points here or there. Mid-70s to start your day, all the way up to the mid-90s this afternoon. That's your First Bank Texas forecast first. KTAB Daybreak starts now.
With coverage you can count on. This is KTAB News Daybreak.
Good morning. Welcome to KTAB Daybreak. I'm Kathleen Barkley. Ron is away this morning. Abilene voters have the opportunity to fund new schools and renovate others. That's our top story this morning on KTAB Daybreak. A meeting at one AISD center downtown Tuesday evening centered on a bond issue. It was proposed earlier this year to build new elementary schools, renovate fine arts at high schools, and upgrade athletic facilities at several campuses. On a 6-1 vote, board members approved a nearly $139 million bond election for November 6th. The biggest expense would be nearly $70 million to construct new schools at current locations of Austin, Taylor, and Dias elementary schools. The next biggest chunk would be about $42 million for a technical education center, which would accommodate the growing areas of tech classes like auto tech, construction, TV production, and move the Adams program to the new building. Other projects that would be paid for if the bond issue is approved: upgrades to athletic facilities at Abilene and Cooper high schools. Fine arts not left out, with renovations at Abilene High and Cooper, new band halls at Madison and Mann middle schools, and several other conversions of current space. Along with updates at Shotwell Stadium and improved heating and air conditioning at many existing schools, those are all included in the proposal. All of this will be on the general election ballot on November 6th. At your local election headquarters, we will have extensive coverage on this and other issues on the ballot and results that night. You can expect extensive coverage here on KTAB and on our website, bigcountryhomepage.com. And as KTAB gets you ready to get back to the books, we're talking technology and how it's impacting the way parents connect with their child's teachers. With Remind apps, email and text, parents have more access to information sent by teachers. And Abilene ISD Mann Middle School Principal Kathy Walker says technology has definitely helped the teacher-parent relationship, but she still encourages face-to-face meetings when necessary.
We encourage parents to make appointments with our teachers, and then we encourage our teachers in the first 3 to 4 weeks of school to make some kind of outreach, because they can set up an email that is just kind of a general information that says, "Hi parents, I'm glad that your kiddo is in my class. Here's how my class operates. Here's when I'm available for your child to work with me in tutorials before or after school."
Walker says technology is helping those parents who work but like to still stay connected with what's going on at their child's school. And turning now to this morning's crime news, the selection of the Jones County jury for a capital murder trial almost complete. From 1,400 potential jurors called down to the 12 jurors who will hear evidence, all for the capital murder trial of 24-year-old Dylan Gage Compton. He was being held at the French Robertson prison unit in Hamby for aggravated sexual assault of a child. Now he's accused of killing a corrections officer 2 years ago. Officer Mary Ann Johnson was found dead in the kitchen area of the French Robertson unit on the morning of July 16, 2016. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. KTAB will be following that trial both on the air and online at our website, bigcountryhomepage.com. Our KTAB Daybreak News time is now 6:05. Coming up, state health officials are exploring ways to prevent a bacteria that causes pneumonia and meningitis. And services like Lyft and Uber could face tough restrictions in New York City. Our Money Watch report is coming up after the break, but first, let's check back in with Dylan for another look at our forecast.
Thanks, Kathleen. Today, actually a very nice start to the day overall. Not too cool, not too warm. However, we are a little bit more on the humid side for a lot of us. Temperatures right around where they should be to start the day, at least this time of year. I'll look at that forecast for today and the next few days coming up next.
Now, meteorologist Dylan Smith with your Weather Authority forecast.
All right, Dylan, we are halfway through the work week. Kind of pretty happy it's Wednesday. We're chugging right along. So what are we expecting weather-wise?
Pretty consistent weather. So what you get today is what you're going to get tomorrow, what you're going to get the next day, although it does change by the end of the weekend.
All right, we like change.
I like change for the most part. Let's get into it. I want to show you what it's looking like outside and across the U.S. right now. Nothing overly crazy happening across the area when it comes to severe stuff, although they are seeing a nice little round of showers and storms over Arkansas, over into Missouri, if you will. So nice showers there. That's actually one of the systems that kept me from coming home Monday, so I could be here yesterday morning. But I'm here now, and we are looking at a very nice day overall. A little bit of a humid start and also a clear start for the big country. Unfortunately, I do bring a lot more high pressure and less rain chances for now. We do have rain chances popping up back in the forecast. Mid-70s outside right now for temperatures here in Abilene. Dew points, I think, are a little skewed. We're having some instrument problems for us right now. As you'll see, it's a little bit too off from the rest of the big country to be accurate, in my opinion. But it's definitely more humid than 20%. You can walk outside and tell me that yourself. It's a little bit more on the humid, kind of sticky side this morning for Abilene. And that's true for most of the big country. Mid to low 70s for everyone. 77 for Breckenridge, all the way down to about 71 for Snyder. Brownwood right now 73. And again, those dew points, Abilene seems to be a little bit too far off to really be believable. Mid to upper 60s for just about the entire big country. Stanford just a little bit drier. So again, very, very humid, sticky start to for most of the big country, actually. And that trend, unfortunately, will only get a little bit more humid over the next few days. So don't expect a huge drying relief by the end of the week, as we are expecting high pressure and very consistent weather over the next 3, 4, 5 days even. However, we do start to introduce some rain chances as early as Saturday night into Sunday morning, and that will again be very light rain chances for now. We will see a better idea of what's happening over the weekend, but until then, expect more of the same to finish out the work week of mid-90s for a lot of us. And I'm saying today we will feel the heat. That is true only because it is going to be pretty humid out there, and those heat index values will be a little bit higher than if it was just really dry outside. So we'll feel a little bit warmer than it actually is, but all of us getting right back into those mid-90s for the overnight hours. Brownwood tonight getting down again into those mid-70s. Going to be a pretty typical night overall. I'd call this a pretty typical summer-like forecast. Light rain chances, a cold front coming through Sunday into Monday that will cool us off a few degrees by early next week. Kathleen, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dylan. A new bill is regulating ride shares in New York City. Diane King Hall has this morning's Money Watch report.
In a blow to companies like Uber and Lyft, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio signed a bill Tuesday regulating the growth of ride-hailing apps. The bill places a one-year cap on new licenses and also sets a minimum wage for app-based drivers. New York wants to study the rapidly changing taxi industry. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway boosted its stake in Apple last quarter. Berkshire now holds nearly 252 million shares. That's up from 239 million. The Oracle of Omaha also increased stakes in Southwest and Delta Airlines while pulling back on American and United Continental. And sports betting is looking like a win for Atlantic City casinos. New figures out yesterday show 9 New Jersey casinos took in 12% more gambling revenue in July than they did in the same month last year. The state's casinos and racetracks took in about $40 million in sports bets the first full month after it was legalized. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Daybreak news time is now 6:13. Coming up, state health officials are exploring ways to prevent the spread of a bacteria and how technology is changing parent-teacher relationships. Those stories coming up as KTAB Daybreak continues.
Good morning. Like the old saying, it seems everything nailed down is coming loose. You know, and regardless though, in this world, in our own lives, regardless of whatever happens, whatever we face, God is still on his throne. Trust that. In Isaiah, the 6th chapter, it begins with these words. It says, in the year King Uzziah died. And you go, well, big deal, you know. I can't remember all the kings anyway. But the prophet's making an important statement. You see, Isaiah had been this king that helped develop prosperity in the country. He came to the throne when he was 16. He ruled for 52 years. They enjoyed prosperity that could rival even the golden age of Solomon. And yet at the end, though, kind of a footnote, a tragic part, that Uzziah, though, he let his pride get the best of him as he tried to take things into his own hands. And so he did not finish well. And so really it's a crisis. It's a spiritual crisis. It's a national crisis when he says in the year King Uzziah died. We'd enjoyed so much, and yet at the same time we're so saddened by how he ended his life. And so in the midst of this, though, that's where, read it for yourself, where Isaiah has this grand vision of the holiness of God. There, seeing God's train, the room filled with smoke, this unbelievable encounter with God. And so he was reminded, you see, even in the worst of times, God is still on his throne, and God is good. And yet even more, he goes on to say in that passage, the whole earth is full of his glory, not just his throne room, but the whole earth. You see, the other promise we have, God has been set loose in this world. And so today, in the midst of the difficulties or problems or darkness, we look today for how the whole earth is full of his glory. And no matter whatever happens, God is still on his throne.
KTAB News Daybreak continues.
It's Wednesday morning, and unfortunately, thanks to all the rain and a little bit of the wind out of the south, it's a little bit more humid to start the day this morning. 77 for the warmest, Abilene, again 76. It's a bit of a warmer start to the day. Also a bit of a humid start to the day. Brownwood a little bit cooler at 73, and the coolest spot out west in Snyder at 71. But for those relative humidity levels, don't read too far into Abilene's reading right now. We are much more humid than that. You can walk out the door and certainly tell it's not 20% humidity, not by a long shot. Anywhere from about 70 to almost 90%, such as Eastland at 87% humidity. It is going to be a very humid start to the day, and the dew points actually get a little bit higher throughout the afternoon. So it's going to be a bit of a very, very, very humid afternoon as well. That will raise those not dew points, but heat index values today, tomorrow, and the next few days. So it will certainly feel a little bit warmer at least than it really is outside. Mid-90s for us today, right around seasonal or just below. Don't expect it to be an overly hot day, no triple digits, but it certainly could start to feel like that over the next few days. I'll check that forecast coming up in a few minutes, but first, let's send it back over to Kathleen.
All right, thanks, Dylan. KTAB is getting a first look at the brand new Wiley East Elementary School. It's set to open this school year and will house all pre-K through first grade students who live on the east side of U.S. Highway 8384. KTAB's Claire Kreitz is one of our tour guides.
Hi, I'm Claire Kreitz. I'm with Superintendent Joey Light, who's going to give us the first look of the new Wiley Elementary School.
Yep, we're excited to do it. As you can see, we are a fun-loving, younger bulldog here at Wiley East Elementary. We're going to have pre-K, K, and 1. We were thrilled to have an opportunity to really build a school that was specifically designed for young students, and so that drove a lot of our decisions as far as colors and types of access that they were going to have to different areas of the building.
And of course, thank you, Claire and Joey Light. The rest of that tour is on our KTAB Facebook page. And in your health news this morning, state health officials are exploring ways to prevent a bacteria that causes pneumonia and meningitis. It's called Streptococcus pneumoniae. A bill passed this last legislative session directs the state health department to form a plan focused on prevention and education. The Texas silver-haired legislature urged lawmakers to pass this legislation since the infection can take a deadly toll on seniors. Doctors say one way to prevent the illness is by getting vaccinated.
We see a lot less than we did, say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because there's now routine vaccinations against pneumococcus.
The public comment period closes at the end of this month. Our KTAB Daybreak News Time is now 6:20. Please stay with us. We'll break down an Abilene ISD bond that could fund new schools and facilities. And the permanent record of a newborn's identity is going more high-tech. That story is still ahead, but first, let's check back in with Dylan for a look at our forecast.
Thanks, Kathleen. This morning, it's a bit on the humid side for a lot of us. Abilene is not at 20% right now. We are probably closer to 80% or more, especially if you step outside. You will believe me in that one. I promise you that. I'll look at that forecast for today and the next few days coming up next.
Now, meteorologist Dylan Smith with your Weather Authority forecast.
It's Wednesday morning, and the activity, unfortunately, is largely out of the state of Texas. And here in the Big Country, it's moved out of the area. It was here for a few days, at least over the weekend. It certainly dropped a lot of rain over parts of the Big Country. Further south and further north saw quite a bit. Unfortunately, right here in the I-20 corridor, I think we missed out on a lot of it, but I think we still got at least an inch to an inch and a half in a lot of places. So by and large, whether you got 3-4 inches or you got an inch and a half, it was still very welcomed outside. And unfortunately, rain chances are ending again today. 76 degrees outside this morning. Later on this afternoon, that will be about 20 degrees warmer. Otherwise, dew points are much higher than this as well. We are at least in the 60s. We are having some issues with our instruments reading just how humid it is outside, because it's just that humid. No, I'm just kidding. And we're about 70 to 80% humidity. And again, temperatures right now reflecting a pretty typical start to a summertime day in the mid to low 70s for just about everywhere. Starting to get into the upper 70s for Stanford, though, 78 degrees already. It's going to be a very warm day again, and feel even warmer thanks to these dew points. Abilene, again, one of the outliers there, but mid to upper 60s, lower 70 for Knox City already. These dew points, unfortunately, are not going to fall throughout the day. They will actually get a little bit higher by the afternoon hours, so that could raise that heat index value. We haven't talked about that a whole lot this summer, but that heat index value could start to reach near triple digits throughout the next few days. So even though actual temperatures will not, it might actually start to feel a little bit more like those triple digits again. However, for the next few days, staying in kind of a holding pattern. High pressure will be kind of our main dominant weather pattern as low pressure continues to kind of push off to the east. But over the next few days heading into this weekend, we are expecting another low pressure system to start to build up from the north. That will drag through a cold front heading into Sunday and Monday. That will cool us off, bring us some light rain chances for at least early parts of next week. And then after that pushes on through, high pressure will again return to be kind of the more dominant weather pattern again for the big country. So we do get a little break heading into early parts next week, but for today and the next few days, expect much of the same. Feel on the heat, those heat index values near 100 degrees. Abilene today mid 90s, so we will not be close to 100 degrees, but when you factor in that high dew point, that does start to turn things around. And for Brownville today as well, again, humid all day, not a huge break at all, and that will last for the next few days. Back into those mid 90s, maybe a few upper 90s out there, but by and large, staying at or around seasonal for most of us, as temperatures will stay again in the mid 90s. Rain chances kicking back in late this coming weekend. Could see some as early as Saturday night, but generally nice cool down heading into early next week. And again, there's rain chances only about 20% right now.
All right, you said the words I like the most, cool down.
Cool down, not warm up, cool down.
All right, that's what we like to hear around here. Well, the identification of newborn babies is going high tech. Hospitals are using scanners to link the babies and mothers and posting the information in a big database.
We get those details from Kathy Walsh in Denver.
It's pretty precious.
Violet Rana, just 16 hours old. From the moment she was born, Rebecca and Danny Morrison have been smitten with their first child.
It's crazy how much you want to take care of them.
Keeping them safe begins in the hospital with tiny hands that curl into tiny fists. Newborn fingerprints are difficult to capture. Many hospitals take babies' unique footprints to identify them. It's usually an ink and paper process.
Those images can smudge.
So Medical Center of the Rockies has turned to technology.
Let's get you nice and comfy.
Digital scanning, done at birth. Today, a demonstration.
Now we're going to take her picture.
An OB surgical tech photographs Violet, then scans her feet. Violet fusses for seconds to get precise footprints for life. Mom is linked through her index fingers.
The images are digitally uploaded into a cloud, and they're scanned into the patient's medical record.
To be able to access a database anywhere in the United States is great.
In the case of, kidnapping or something like that, you can see some of that information. The police could see that.
A digital footprint is a biometric that can be accessed immediately. A little peace of mind for parents, hopefully never needed, there just in case.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll help with a lot of the mix-ups and things that do happen.
Right, always interesting to see what new technology is coming out too.
Oh, sure.
Well, our next half hour now right around the corner, how technology is affecting parent-teacher relationships, and a North Texas teen is given the gift of sight. Her emotional response you won't want to miss. Plus, where does Hardin-Simmons football rank for this upcoming season? Then how lack of sleep can affect your relationships. KTAB Daybreak at 6:30 is coming up.
Now, from your weather authority, your KTAB forecast first.
Good Wednesday morning, Big Country. Unfortunately, rain chances out for today. Warm temperatures back in, but we do see more rain chance at least return by the weekend. Just depending on who you are, that's good or bad news. But I'm looking at it as we need the rain, we still need the rain, and we could definitely use more. Temperatures today, mid-70s to start. It's a very humid start to the day as well. Not 100%, but certainly near 90% for some. All the way up to the mid-90s this afternoon. Dew points will stay pretty high, so it will feel very warm, even warmer than the mid-90s for a lot of us. Those winds will try to help with that, about 10 to 20 mile an hour winds, maybe gusting around 30 at times. That's your First Bank Texas forecast first. KTAB Daybreak starts now.
With coverage you can count on. This is KTAB News Daybreak.
Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us here for KTAB Daybreak. I'm Kathleen Barkley. Ron is away this morning. Abilene voters have the opportunity to fund new schools and renovate others. That's our top story this morning on KTAB Daybreak. A meeting at one AISD center downtown Tuesday afternoon centered on a bond issue. It was proposed earlier this year to build new elementary schools, renovate the fine arts at the high schools, and upgrade athletic facilities at several campuses. On a 6-to-1 vote, board members approved a nearly $139 million bond election for November 6th. The biggest expense would be nearly $70 million to reconstruct new schools at current locations of Austin, Taylor, and Dias elementary schools. The next biggest chunk would be about $42 million for a technical education center, which would accommodate the large growth areas of tech classes like auto tech, construction, TV production, and move the Adams program to the new building. Other projects that would be paid for if the bond issue is approved is upgrades to athletic facilities at Abilene and Cooper High Schools. Fine arts not left out with renovations at Abilene High and Cooper, new band halls at Madison and Mann Middle Schools, and several other conversions of current space, along with updates at Shotwell Stadium and improved heating and air conditioning at many existing schools. Those are all included in the proposal. All of this will be on the general election ballot on November 6th. As your local election headquarters, we will have extensive coverage on this and other issues on the ballot and results that night. You can expect extensive coverage here on KTAB and on our website, bigcountryhomepage.com. And as KTAB gets you ready to get back to the books, we're talking technology and how it's impacting the way parents connect with their child's teachers. With Remind apps, email, and text, parents have more access to information sent by teachers. An Abilene ISD Mann Middle School principal, Kathy Walker, says technology has definitely helped the teacher-parent relationship, but she still encourages that face-to-face time when it's necessary.
We encourage parents to make appointments with our teachers, and then we encourage our teachers in the first 3 to 4 weeks of school to make some kind of outreach, because they can set up an email that is just kind of a general information that says, "Hi parents, I'm glad that your kiddo is in my class. Here's how my class operates. Here's when I'm available for your child to work with me in tutorials before or after school."
Walker says technology is helping those parents who work but still like to stay connected with what's going on at their child's school. Turning now to your crime news this morning, the selection of the Jones County jury for a capital murder trial almost complete. From 1,400 potential jurors called down to 12 jurors who will hear evidence. All for the capital murder trial of 24-year-old Dylan Gage Compton. He was being held at the French Robertson Prison Unit in Hamby for aggravated sexual assault of a child. Now he's accused of killing a corrections officer 2 years ago. Officer Marion Johnson was found dead in the kitchen area of the French Robertson Unit on the morning of July 16, 2016. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. KTAB will follow the trial both on air and online, bigcountryhomepage.com. You're right on time. It's now 6:35. Coming up on KTAB Daybreak, the emotional response from a North Texas teen as she sees for the first time in 2 years. And the HSU Cowboys are planning to knock Mary Hardin-Baylor off of the top of the conference. Does the conference think that's going to happen? That answer coming up in a few minutes, but first let's check back in with Dylan for another look at our forecast.
Thanks, Kathleen. Today's temperatures starting out very typical for this time of year, which is mid-August. Still in the middle of summer, starting to approach the back end of summer, but by and large, nothing out of the ordinary today. No 80s, no 60s, very typical again. A little bit on the humid side, though. I'll have a look at that forecast coming up next.
Now, meteorologist Dylan Smith with your Weather Authority forecast.
All right, that sun's going to be coming down on us today.
Yes, coming up and coming down at the same time, if you will.
It's
looking to be a very warm day. Pretty typical, though, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. We've had a nice, cool past few days.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are back to reality today.
All right, well, you know, you take the good, you take the bad.
Y'all comes with everything. Let's go and take a look at Max Live radar, satellite radar first, and seeing a lot of activity over the central areas of the U.S., if you will, starting to move into the Midwestern states, but by and large leaving us kind of in the dust, if you will, as well. And quite literally, if you notice a little bit of a haze in the air yesterday, that was some more of that Saharan African dust coming through, and that will be filtering out over the next few days. So it might be a little bit hazy, even though it will be sunny today, and that is going to be actually a big factor of what helps keep us a little bit cooler than if it wasn't there at all. If it was just clear, dry air, we would be definitely a lot hotter than we're expected to get today. But unfortunately, it's a humid start to the day and pretty typical as well. Mid-70s, don't read the temperature behind me here in dew points or humidity, as I think our instruments are a little bit off on that, because the rest of the big country, very humid, and there's not usually a huge anomaly like we're seeing with Abilene right now. It's a humid start to the day, I can tell you that. Stepping outside, it certainly is a little bit sticky out there. 71 for Eastland and Snyder, the coolest spots in the big country, all the way up to 78 for Stamford. Abilene a little bit below that at 76. Brownwood right now at 73. So a little bit on the cooler side for a lot of the big country, but it is again right at or around seasonal. And here's that dew point map again. As you can see, Abilene a little bit too far out of the ordinary to really kind of be believable, at least in my opinion. Upper 60s to around 70 degrees up there for Knox City at 70. Brownwood 66 degrees. So just expect a very humid, sticky start to the day for everyone. I don't care where you are in the big country. It certainly is a little bit more on the humid side this morning. That's going to last the rest of today. However, for the pattern over the next few days, we start to see the exit of that low pressure system, so the clouds will start to go away, and we are looking at more high pressure over the next few days, starting to build in. That high pressure gets a little bit stronger, builds up a bit of a ridge to our north, and that will again help us stay consistent, very sunny over the next few days, and those winds will stay again out of the south. Very consistent there. However, heading into the back end of the weekend, low pressure will start to dig down, bring us a nice nice cold front for us by the end of the weekend. Sunday into Monday, that will drag on through. High pressure, though, behind it will start to fill on through again, and that will kind of dominate our weather pattern for the middle and late parts of next week. But we do get a nice cool down thanks to cold fronts, and again, that low pressure will start to bring in maybe a few rain chances as well by as early as Saturday night and lasting through even Monday for us here in the big country. So good news there. Mid-90s this afternoon, starting to feel the heat, especially thanks to those dew points and humidity levels. And Brownwood today as well, mid-90s again, humid all day. So no break from that humidity. The dew points will stay as high or higher by the afternoon. And then again, mid-90s for basically the entire forecast through Sunday. Then we get that cold front heading into early next week. Kathleen, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dylan. In Denton, a legally blind teen successfully raises money to purchase a pair of glasses that will allow her to see now. And now she has those glasses. Aaron Jones has the story all new this morning.
It's been almost 2 years since Shay Busby was told she'd never see clearly again.
And then I had to accept that because there's nothing you can do.
She was diagnosed with Stargardt, a rare disease that caused part of her retina to deteriorate.
And they're like, you will be like this for the rest of your life.
But a couple weeks ago, she learned about $10,000 glasses that allow the legally blind to see. She started a crowdfunding campaign and shared her story, hoping North Texans would help.
And then once you shared the story, there were people that just came out of the woodwork. Every donation that came in, I'm telling you, I've had tears going like crazy because this is the good stuff.
Shay raised enough money for the eSight glasses, and now her friend, who is also legally blind, has a surprise.
Oh my God.
In less than 2 weeks.
Wow, that's really weird.
Shay's dream is coming true.
You have really pretty eyes. You're so sweet. Hi, Padre.
Hey, sweetheart. Can you see my face?
Yeah.
She sees her mom and dad clearly for the first time in 2 years.
How excited she is, you know, just definitely it warms my heart.
It's hasn't fully sunk in yet, because that's just, it's kind of a miracle.
She's overwhelmed, enjoying moments many take for granted.
What a great story. So happy for her. Our KTAB Daybreak News Time is now 6:44. Coming up, how lack of sleep can impact your relationship. Our medical news headlines are coming up as KTAB Daybreak continues.
KTAB News Daybreak continues.
We've got a gorgeous sunrise to kick off the middle part of the week. Wednesday is here, and it's looking to be pretty nice overall. We are looking again at a very humid, kind of sticky start to the day this morning, but don't worry, it will stick around again for the next few mornings, but this afternoon will certainly feel a little bit better in terms of just how sticky it feels out there. Lower 70s to mid 70s, even some upper 70s out there this morning, but by and large, a pretty typical kind of run-of-the-mill start to the day. 76 for Breckenridge and Abilene, 78 for Stanford, all the way down to 73 for Breckenridge, and again, 71 is the coolest spot. Coolest mark, if you will, for Eastland and Snyder. The humidity levels this morning are pretty high, anywhere from out again 70 to 90%. Close to for Eastland. Otherwise, Abilene, a little bit of an anomaly this morning, but that I think is just a bad reading on our instrument right now. We're looking to be again about 70 to 90% for the entire big country. I don't care where you live. It is a bit of a stickier start to the day. You can walk outside and kind of verify that for me out there. But mid to low 90s this afternoon. Going to be still pretty warm though, thanks to again the dew points and humidity levels that will factor in for a heat index that might be a little bit higher than it actually is. So might feel a little bit warmer than 94, 95 degrees. That's about what we're expecting for today. You head south, upper 90s for the southern and central parts of the state. So I'll take what we're getting today. It's better than it could be, and unfortunately it's looking to stick around for the next few days. I'll look at that forecast coming up in a few minutes, but first let's send it back over to Kathleen.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Let's talk some sports this morning. Big Country football team's getting ready for the upcoming season. We go this morning to the Cooper Cougars. New head coach Aaron Rohn takes over a successful program, and he has to follow in the footsteps of a very successful head coach in Todd Mabus. Dusty Baker has more on Rowan's new journey to the top of the totem pole.
It is no secret 2018 will be quite the transition year for the Cooper Cougars, with a new head coach in Aaron Rohn and a new look on the offensive side of the ball. Despite the changes, the Cougars head into the new year with a mindset to outwork every other team in the state in order to be successful.
We've got to work harder than anybody that we play. That's something that we believe in. You know, that's an edge that we hope that we can have is the work that we put in.
Rohn takes over the Cougars in his first season as a head coach after working as the offensive coordinator for former head coach Todd Mabus.
It's a great opportunity. You know, I've been blessed and very appreciative of it. It's been a lot of fun. You know, a lot of new challenges. Our kids and coaches know the structure of what we're doing. They could do this stuff without me here. I mean, they know what's going on, and so that hasn't changed a whole lot. You know, with the format of practice and everything, we're going to keep doing what we believe in, and we got to get better at it.
I mean, I have all the confidence in the world with Coach Rohn. He's been here for years, and I'm comfortable with him. The core of what we do is the same, so I mean there's not really too much difference. Same coaching staff, same everything, so it's been pretty consistent.
When it comes to like practice and stuff, he's in go mode. He wants everybody to do what we can do and to the best of our abilities.
Rohn's expectations as the new head coach are the same for the team as what has been instilled in prior seasons.
Continue to do and build on the traditions that we've had in the past, you know, and we really want to break through, that third round barrier and play into December, and that's when you get into elite programs, and we want to become one of those.
At Shotwell Stadium for BigCountryHomepage.com Sports, I'm Dusty Baker.
The new season just over a little 2 weeks away. The Cougars open 2018 against Keller at Shotwell Stadium. Now to college football, the American Southwest Conference released their preseason poll for the 2018 season. The HSU Cowboys are right on the heels of national finalist Mary Hardin Baylor at the top. The Cowboys received 7 of the 30 first-place votes to come in second place. HSU has never finished lower than 4th place in the last 22 years. Nationally, the Cowboys are ranked 10th to start the season. Here's a look at the top 3 and where McMurray and Howard Payne are picked. The Crew are first, followed by the Cowboys. East Texas Baptist is expected to finish 3rd this year. McMurray is eligible for the title but picked 8th. Howard Payne is 9th as head coach Braxton Harris continues to rebuild that program. And looking at your medical news this morning, lack of sleep may take a toll on a person's relationships, and a new drug trial is showing promise for patients with high blood pressure. Kenneth Craig has a look at the day's top health stories.
A new study shows a low-dose 3-in-1 pill to treat high blood pressure is more effective and safer than the standard way of treating hypertension. Researchers in Australia found 70% of patients who took the so-called triple pill reached their blood pressure targets, compared to just over half who received normal care. Sleep-deprived people feel lonelier and are less inclined to engage with others, according to a new study from the University of California. Researchers found sleep loss interfered with the parts of the brain that normally encourage social interaction. Loneliness has been found to increase a person's risk of mortality by more than 45%, double the mortality risk associated with obesity. And new research finds being exposed to secondhand smoke during childhood increases the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis later in life. The study in the journal Rheumatology found the risk increased for current and past smokers and even non-smokers. That's a look at the day's top health stories. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
You have less than 10 minutes till 7 o'clock. It's 6:52. We'll wrap up the day's top stories coming up, and Dylan will have another check of our forecast. We'll join CBS this morning in just a moment, but first here's a look at your top stories. The Abilene School Board approved a bond to build new schools and make several renovations that will appear on the ballot in November. And jury selection for the inmate accused of killing a corrections officer is almost complete. More than 1,400 potential jurors were summoned.
And it's Wednesday morning. It's a beautiful start to the day in terms of the sunrise. However, as you head out the door, expect a little bit of some sticky weather outside, if you will. A little bit more on the humid side, lower 70s to the mid 70s to start your morning, right around where it should be this time of year in terms of temperatures. However, as I said, dew points are up quite a bit this morning compared to the past few days. So expect another sticky start to the day as temperatures, we are kind of in a holding pattern through the late parts of this week, mid 90s to upper 90s. That will last through even Sunday, but then we do get a cold front Sunday into Monday. That will bring us some rain chances heading into, I don't think it's the first week of school yet. I think we still have about a week and a half before that happens, but it's still a cooler start to next week for most of the big country.
All right, looks like a pretty good forecast.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Well, before I leave you this morning, kids often inherit a love for their parents' favorite sports teams, but at this house in Tomball, Texas, this toddler is taking the family's fandom up a notch. At 2.5 years old, Corey Gorman can name almost every Houston Astro on the lineup.
Now he can mimic the whole roster pretty much on command. He learned each player's stance, watching the Astros from the baseball diamond in his living room. So he's called a name and he just...
Pretty neat. Maybe he'll grow up and hit a Springer dinger. There you go.
That's awesome.
That is so cool.
I was never into any sport that much.
You know, I think I was just into football because my dad told me I liked football at that
Hey,
age.
that's how a lot of us happen.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's how
hey.
my daughter is. She likes football because I tell her, hey, football's great. So maybe I'll have to teach her to imitate some good players. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. For more information on stories in this newscast, you can go to our website, bigcountryhomepage.com. Click on KTAB News.
CBS This Morning is coming up. We'll be back at 7:26 with the latest news and weather. Until then, have a great Wednesday.